yeah, nothing of note happened on Extreme Rules 2022. Just throwing it out there. This podcast is it's actually no. This podcast is not going to be boring. Don't tune out right now. But Extreme Rules 2022 emanated from Philadelphia last night. Tomas watched this show live, and I was at a wedding last night, so I missed this. I started the show like 11 p.m. and then by the end, which we'll talk about this ending, but man, it was worth it. Worth it.
What a fun night of wrestling we got. You could say this is the very first, because SummerSlam was a half Vince, half Triple H show. Clash of the Castle was a Triple H show, but it was a international stadium show. This is the first WWE North American B pay-per-view that Triple H has booked from start to finish since he took over. Because, even in Clash of the Castle, we had a little bit of inkling of Vince's remains, I want to say, because, Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns was always slated for that main event. Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins was still it was something Vince wanted to do with SummerSlam, but Triple H just bumped it over to Clash of the Castle. And so this was the very first, Triple H, start to finish, his brainchild. Everything he did was, this was a Triple H show, and it showed a lot. Real quick, there was no matches. There were no matches on the pre-show, but we did get one last White Rabbit clue. It was second to last, and it was during the pre-show panel. Also, I want to shout out the pre-show panel was Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler, Kevin Patrick, and Mike Rosenberg. And Rosenberg and Lawler were gassing Booker T and Kevin Patrick up, talking about how they're going to be the new voices of Monday Night Raw and NXT. We got some brand new commentary teams. Patrick is going to be the brand new play-by-play guy on Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
And Booker T is moving over to do color commentary on NXT. So
Jimmy Smith
really
is
awesome.
out. Jimmy Smith is out, by the way, and Kevin Patrick is
and after reading his comments about Roman Reigns, good riddance. Good riddance.
Yeah, and then so Booker T was on NXT now, which moves Wade Barrett over to SmackDown in place of Pat McAfee, which is a brilliant move because I love Wade Barrett. I think he's got so much unfinished business over here in WWE, but he's a really solid color guy.
Two things to note about these new teams. Number one, WWE is going back to the two-man teams or the two-person teams, which I am all for. Byron Saxton is moving to a backstage role as a backstage announcer, along with the returning Kathy Kelly. Good for her. Yeah. Caleb Braxton and
Kathy Kelly.
Hell yeah, Kathy Kelly. Caleb Braxton and I think Mackenzie Mitchell or Sarah Schreiber. It's either Sarah or Mackenzie. Once Mackenzie returns from her honeymoon with Joseph, who would return to NXT, they will. I know Mackenzie's going to be doing NXT. Caleb Braxton and Sarah Schreiber are going to be doing the backstage interviews for SmackDown. So we got some established teams over here, and it's really cool. The other thing I want to point out, Michael Cole and Corey Graves, representing Raw and SmackDown, will be calling the pay-per-views from now on. So we will not be seeing Wade Barrett or Kevin Patrick on the pay-per-views.
See, that part I don't like. That part I don't like. I mean, this is just me as a Wade Barrett fan, but I want to see him call some pay-per-views and just swap out the commentary teams for the specific brand matches, but I don't know. I mean, it's not my hill to die on. Michael Cole and Corey Graves are both good, but I don't know. It's just a little nitpick.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. I think they're just trying to get the best of both worlds for Raw and SmackDown to call all the action. It just seems like they're trying to condense everything because before we get into the main show, my gripe would be is that this is AEW's big issue. Two-man team all the way. We don't need a third person. You got one play-by-play. You got one color. AEW's announced teams, they're very, very crowded. I'm not the biggest Taz fan. I like Excalibur. Tony Schiavone does his job well. JR is starting to get old, and he can't really call action like he used to. Love the man, but he's definitely he's past his prime. And I know I'm in the minority, but I do not like Chris Jericho on commentary. I think it's very unnecessary. I think he yells too much. I think he's too involved with the main card on AEW to be, kind of just. I feel like the color commentary position on the announce teams need to kind of be like referees. They need to be you're not supposed to really.
They need to be impartial.
Inside, but yeah, exactly. They need to be very impartial. It's very hard when Chris Jericho just knocked out the ring announcer for Ring of Honor to just turn around and start doing commentary on that page like nothing happened.
Then again, at the same time, Michael Cole was also very into the baby faces in one of these matches. Very much not impartial, but it'd be like that sometimes.
it's a nitpick and it's beside the point. I digress. Here we go with the main show. We open up with a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. It's the second of its kind. It's a 6-man tag team match as Butch the Bruiserweight, Ridge Holland, and Sheamus representing the Brawling Brutes. I am going with what I'm going with. Taking on the team of Imperium, which is Ludwig Kaiser, Giovanni Vinci, and the reigning Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. Gunther and Sheamus just had another classic brawl on SmackDown, ending in a little bit of controversy that's going to further the story. But now we're just, it's modern warfare here. It's a full-on 6-man, it's a war. This is a war, basically. Yeah. Anything goes. It's an Irish pub setting.
Exactly. Yeah, that's basically the theme of a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus had a brilliant one of this variety on the SmackDown before SummerSlam. It was a banger. Just like Sheamus keeps saying, it's banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger.
This was excellent.
Banger.
This was physical. I think all 6 men did their parts very well, individually and team-wise, because we have Vinci and Kaiser doing the excellent tag team work we're used to seeing them on NXT. Some stuff willing to point out, they hit an Imperium bomb very early on in the match. They go for an Imperium bomb. Yeah, they go for an Imperium bomb off the apron to the outside. One person I really want to praise in this match that doesn't get a lot of praise is Ridge the Fridge Holland. He has improved immensely.
Honestly,
this guy is strong. He lives up to his name. Yeah, he is long gone. Because, you know, I've complained about Ridge Holland before. I think we only got a taste of it on NXT UK before the pandemic started. And then he got shoehorned to NXT way early. He was taken out for a year with an injury, returned to NXT, and before you know it, he's drafted to SmackDown. Yeah. So I think he was not given enough time to develop on either one of the developmental brands. But I said this way in the beginning. Sheamus took this guy under his wing, and there was no better person than Sheamus than to take this guy. And, you know, he was Thanos. He basically said, fine, I'll do it myself. If NXT and Vince and NXT UK are not going to develop this guy, then Sheamus is going to develop him. And develop him, he did.
This is the best Ridge has looked on the main roster since he was drafted to SmackDown over a year ago at this point, which is crazy saying that. But yeah, like Holland's throwing these he's throwing these fools all over the place. Sheamus actually was taken out fairly early on that little bar gimmick that they had on the outside, which is funny because Ludwig Kaiser throws down a portrait of Sheamus like in the 1920s, photoshopped, and Michael Cole called it a picture of Sheamus's grandfather, which is very, very silly, but, you know, living up to the gimmick. Yeah, no, but if you look at it closely, you can tell that it's Photoshopped. It's just Sheamus's main roster render on WWE.com, and it's like, literally, that's all it is. Like, it's Photoshopped.
Michael Cole made a very excellent call saying that this is the first match of the night, and the barricade and the announce table and everything around ringside is
fell apart.
Destroyed. These guys destroyed the ringside area, including all of the props. There was wine barrels all over the place. There's these huge shillelaghs that I'm sure put a big smile on Big Finley's face.
My word.
There is a point where Dunn and Holland take these shillelaghs and they just go to fucking town on Imperium. Kaiser and Vinci are basically screaming no mas as these guys are beating them to death with these shillelaghs.
Yes. Oh, and there was a spot where Sheamus locks Gunther in the Texas Cloverleaf, which is a direct callback to the previous night's SmackDown, where Gunther tapped out to the Texas Cloverleaf. So Sheamus should be the Intercontinental Champion right now. Just throwing that out there.
Excellent storytelling that's going to progress very, very nice into their next match. I feel like that was the way, because if I don't want Gunther to drop this title anytime soon.
I don't
Sheamus
either.
Is so over.
But he tapped out.
He has an excuse. Sheamus 100% has a legitimate gripe to get yet another Intercontinental title match. But, you know, just to give my feelings on that real quick, Triple H, I know this isn't his plans, and I wanted this to wait to WrestleMania, but I don't think the fans are going to be that patient. The next time these guys lock up, you got to put that Intercontinental title on Sheamus. You got it.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to get a huge pop, more than any of his world title wins, more than his United States title win. You know, this is Sheamus's time. This is the Sheamus era. Ever since 2020, it has been the Sheamus era. And this guy, you know, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you would have told me 10 years ago that Sheamus would be one of my favorite wrestlers on the main roster, I would have said you were crazy.
I can't believe I'm saying that I love the Brawling Brutes, but I do. These fools are freaking over. All three of them. Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Pete Dunne. All of them.
Triple H took these ridiculous gimmicks and this ridiculous team that I'm sure Vince just made just for shits and giggles, and he turned it into a legitimate faction. A legitimate faction that is over, and they are going to do things on the main roster. And
one of the most endearing factions, too. Like, this crowd cannot help but cheer the Brutes. And might I add, SmackDown is getting loaded with factions right now, especially after last night, with Legado del Fantasma getting called up to the main roster as well, which is very exciting.
Sheamus does the 10 beats of the Baldwin on Gunther on the top rope.
Beats
Gunther
the shit out of Gunther, doesn't he?
He's second rope, and he does 10 more beats of the Baldwin. Gunther mistakenly slides to the bottom rope, and Sheamus does it there too. I think at one point, all three members of the Brutes have all three members of Imperium, and they're hitting them with 10 beats of the Baldwin. It's quite a sight to hold. These guys are excellent.
It's a perfect opening contest, that's for sure. But
again,
Sheamus,
whatever the fuck.
Sheamus had Gunther in the Texas Cloverleaf. Sorry, but I wanted to point out the shillelaghs from earlier. Ludwig Kaiser takes one of these shillelaghs and waffles Sheamus right in the back so hard that the shillelagh freaking breaks off. And Corey Graves was like, "Oh, that wasn't gimmicked. That wasn't gimmicked."
I love it. I love the freedom that these announcers have now. It's. I'm gonna go into a very, very controversial point once we get to the end of the show, and this match was just full of quality. It was physical. It was. I love this match so much. What was the other big spot I wanted to point out? I think Sheamus does hit a bro kick at this point, and it takes Gunther out of the equation for a bit. So the other two members of the Brutes have the other two members of Imperium. Again, they're just absolutely annihilating them with these shillelaghs. And it gets to a point where Kaiser and Vinci are taken out of the equation, and the Brutes grab Gunther and they hold him up. And Sheamus first he takes the shillelagh and he just clobbers Gunther in the face with it.
God, it was so brutal. Like, that was a direct headshot too. Like, there's no give.
Gunther's out of the equation again. I think it's Vinci that is literally being held back, or he's getting threatened with another shillelagh beating. The Brutes hold up Kaiser while Sheamus sets up for the bro kick. He hits him clean in the face with the bro kick. He gets the pin. The Brawling Brutes go over. This was an excellent opener. I give it 3.5 stars.
3.5. Man, I was gonna go 4.5. I love
it. 4.5.
Love this. Okay. Yeah, no, I thought the wrestling was incredible between all 6 of the guys. Sheamus, the crowd was chanting "This is awesome" for them, and honestly, like, Tomas will remember when we were at the live event. We were at Raw a few weeks ago. There were points where crowds were chanting "This is awesome" for a couple of the matches a little bit too early, and I was looking around and I'm like, let it develop a little more. But
I would only say the only "This is awesome" match we got was Lashley and Seth Rollins, but I digress. I really hate these comparisons, but I would rather have a very well-worked 6-man tag like this, other than the spot fest we get in trios matches in AEW.
Yeah. Well, there were some spots in this, like Pete Dunne hit a moonsault off the wine barrels on the outside onto all 3 members of Imperium, which was a great sight. Sheamus actually eliminates Gunther with a Celtic cross through the announce table, by the way. I should, lest we mention Gunther getting eliminated there. And that's another thing I loved about this. The Intercontinental Champion was not pinned. It would be very, very easy in the WWE of 3 months ago to pin Gunther in this thing. But no, they kept him looking strong. They kept him looking like a legitimate badass that had to be taken out the right way. Sheamus did hit the bro kick, I believe, on Vinci. Yeah. I believe on Vinci was who
okay.
With it. But
Giovanni Vinci has to be counting his blessings, because whatever the fuck they were doing with him at NXT, Triple H said, drop those glasses, drop the fucking stupid cameras. You're coming with me. You're going back to Imperium where you belong.
Yep, and he fits right in.
3 people, including him, Johnny Gargano, and another person that we will talk about at the end of the show, that they called their spots perfectly. Vinci got lucky.
Yes.
I think Gargano and this other individual, they called their spot.
Oh, they absolutely did. They absolutely called their spot, and I can't wait to get into it.
Wars that Sheamus has been in over this weekend, he's probably sitting in an ice cold bath for the next 72 hours, because he got the absolute shit being out of him. But
I'm pretty sure
Sheamus, Sheamus has been watching Gunther on NXT UK, and when he got called up to SmackDown, he was probably just rubbing his hands together, going, "Finally, someone that's going to hit as hard as I do."
Yep, he knew what he was signing up for. That's for sure.
Yeah, because hear stories from Matt Riddle and John Morrison and Kofi Kingston. They say that when you get in the ring with Sheamus, he hits you hard. So you have to meet him at his level, and you need to be. And Kingston and Morrison have both said they are usually not stiff, but when they work Sheamus, they have to be stiff because they know what they're getting themselves into.
That's a lesson learned for any wrestler. You know, you got to learn how your opponent works, and you got to meet them at their level. But with that said, great opening match. The crowd was very much into it. The Brawling Brutes go to the back and they celebrate. We cut to the back, and The Miz is getting interviewed by Megan Morant, and he's talking about how his beautiful wife Maurice is planning a birthday celebration for the Raw season premiere tomorrow night at the time of recording. So he's going to go to Triple H's office and try and get that situated. But then randomly the Philadelphia Flyers mascot comes up to him, and he just starts like offering him an exclusive T-shirt, and The Miz just stamps on it. Like,
The Miz is looking at this guy. First of all, what a bastard. The Miz is just looking at this guy from across the room, and he goes, "What the hell are you?" And I think Solomon said it best, like, he is the Philadelphia mascot.
Philadelphia Flyers, their hockey team.
Yeah. He kind of works there. So who is The Miz to be calling this guy out? Also, what a bastard.
Yeah.
The Flyers mascot has to know what of a douchebag The Miz is, and he tries to be nice and give him a T-shirt, and The Miz just stomps on it.
Yeah. No, he stomps on the shirt, and he's like, "That's what I think of you, and that's what I think of your city." What's wrong with Philadelphia? WWE is giving them WrestleMania XL in 2024, so there's got to be something right with it.
Not to jump the gun on this segment, but this was the only silly backstage series of segments we got on the show, but they were here for a reason. And this segment was here so they could clean up the debris that was the Donnybrook match. So it's nice that these segments, people may look at them and say like, "Oh, these are silly, typical WWE, this is stupid," but they serve a purpose in the grand scheme of things. Not only is this furthering the feud that The Miz is in right now, but it's there. So what would you rather look at? A backstage segment with The Miz or a series of commercials? There was no cringy Credit One ads with Alexa Bliss on this show. There were no cringy Cricket Wireless advertisements with the Street Profits or anything like that. It was a backstage segment that, if you liked it, cool. It furthered the rivalry. If you didn't like it, go to the bathroom, get a snack.
It added to the show. I thought it was funny. I just thought these segments got funnier and funnier as they went on, actually. But
what wasn't funny? This next match.
God, Liv Morgan defending the SmackDown Women's title against Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match, which is basically just another no-holds-barred match. You just basically have to pin your opponent in the ring. There's no difference between an Extreme Rules match and a no-holds-barred match. But
nitpick, no-holds-barred street fight. They should have given this like a more proper name. It just felt lazy. This was like the first match that was announced for this card too, so I was getting a little scared. There was a game I wanted to play with you, actually. Remember last year when we took every single match on the card and we said Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch should have been a strap match, Street Profits and the Usos should have been a ladder match.
I remember that.
Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair could have been a tables match. I want to play that game in reverse this year. What would have these matches been if Vince was booking the card? Both of these matches would have been normal. No. The opener would have been a normal-ass six-man tag. Or no, the Intercontinental title wouldn't even been defended on the show. So this could have been literally anything
Gunther
else.
would have been gone if Vince was not on this. This
would have been The Miz versus Otis or something like that. Nothing against Otis and nothing against The Miz, but something that didn't make any sense. This match right here, if it was booked under Vince's creative decision, this would have been a baseball bat on a pole match.
It would have been like Vince Russo booked it instead, bro. But Ronda Rousey, the best move she does all matches, she comes out to the ring as a total heel, and she's wearing a pink gi with her black belt in honor of her trainer, Jean LaBelle, who tragically passed away not too long ago. Liv Morgan, God bless Liv Morgan. She comes out, and Michael Cole does note that Liv Morgan was in the crowd for Extreme Rules 2014 with Evolution and The Shield. She was sitting like third row or something like that. And now here
He
she
was
is
there when
years
Bryan
later.
Danielson defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Kane in his one and only defense as that undisputed champion.
Yep. Oh man, what an honor.
It's cool. It's cool that Cole made this reference and he didn't say something stupid like he didn't have Money in the Bank. Like Giovanna walked up to me and said she's going to be the SmackDown Women's Champion when that title wouldn't have been invented for another 2 years.
Nope.
Yeah. Nothing stupid like that.
Yeah. This match, I really wanted to like it, man. It was certainly very violent.
I liked the build to this match. I did a lot. Unfortunately, booking wise, Liv Morgan was given the SmackDown Women's title at an era where there's too many big stars on SmackDown. There's too many big stars in the WWE. It felt very much like Nikki ASH. But here's the thing: if Nikki ASH's reign could have went a lot longer because she only had Charlotte Flair in the way. Liv Morgan has Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, possibly returning Sasha Banks, possibly returning Charlotte Flair. Too many big stars in the way of her having a healthy title reign. I love Liv Morgan. I'm glad that she was given the strap and she was given the opportunity to run with it. But this was just, she was always booked into a corner. And in this match, for the narrative was, is Liv Morgan able to go to the extreme to face somebody like Ronda Rousey? She cashed in on her once and won. She got lucky at SummerSlam. And I don't think lightning was going to strike 3 times. So they were really booked in a corner with this match. But I really like Morgan's moxie in this match. I really like how she was getting a little vicious in the beginning parts of this match. I like the narrative of Ronda Rousey was blocking the baseball bat and it was like, Rousey doesn't need a weapon. She is a weapon. But what happens when you put a weapon in her hand?
Well, she doesn't know how to use a weapon.
When I first saw the match, so they go to the outside and Rousey swings this bat for real. And she nails Liv Morgan in the gut with it. And then she just proceeds to beat Morgan with this baseball bat in the thighs, on the back, on the ass, like just bruising this poor girl up.
Can I address this real quick? Like, Ronda Rousey does not need a weapon in her hands. Probably because you have spots like this, which feel very unsafe. And, you know, the trick with wrestling, right, is you're a team and you're performing. But at this point, it really seemed like Ronda Rousey was trying to injure her. I don't know. It was like, I mean, I know there's a lot of drama going on in the other promotion, like, about this same thing. But, like, and I sound like a big hypocrite by calling about Sheamus being stiff, you know, but.
So I'm going to clear this all up right now. I listened to various podcasts. The bat was gimmick to hell. So all these, like, I was worried that Rousey and Morgan were hitting each other with this bat for real. No, it was a gimmick bat. Apparently it was very obvious. I couldn't tell because Rousey is just swinging this thing like she's Barry Bonds in the 9th inning. But Rousey is able to get the bat and she's hitting it back. And, you know, after knowing that and looking back on this, it was a very, I don't want to say stupid series of spots, but I don't know. I wanted to defend this match a lot because I did appreciate what Morgan and Rousey did in this mismatch match. But I'm starting to agree with everyone else. This was the worst match on the show with a little bit of glimmers of cool stuff.
Yeah, Liv did the senton. Liv did the senton through the table. That looks very clean.
A couple weeks ago on SmackDown, Liv Morgan did a beautiful table spot where she did a senton off the tippy top of the steel post, and she annihilated Lacey Evans through a table. She was able to replicate that here, not in such an amazing fashion as he did to Evans, but that was a cool spot. Rousey's got various submission holds on her. That's where the match really just revolved around the baseball bat and a table here and there. But near the end of it, Rousey has Morgan kind of like in a triangle armbar.
Yeah.
And Morgan's trying to fight out of this, but Rousey is able to switch it up into an armbar again. And the look on Morgan's face, she's smiling.
It's a $1 million smile, man. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Morgan's face looked like she was like, well, it was nice while it lasted. She knew that she was going down, and she does. Ronda Rousey is your new SmackDown Women's Champion. My biggest complaint is, where the fuck do you go from here? Rousey is now a 3-time champion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they took the title off of her on Money in the Bank for good reason, because she was getting heat with the crowd. She was getting heat backstage. They were like, okay, we need to take this title off her. They gave it to someone that really deserved the opportunity, but it wasn't as bad as Nikki ASH because Liv Morgan actually got a somewhat run with the title.
Yeah,
there were
she
people saying if
yeah, man, dude, like as soon as this match was over, like I texted Tomas like as I was watching it, like beat by beat, and I texted him bull fucking shit. Liv Morgan is a much bigger star than they're booking her. I think like she has.
But
man,
to go back to my point I made earlier, when you're okay, if the SmackDown's women's roster was just Shotzi, Raquel Rodriguez, Aaliyah, Lacey Evans, with like a Charlotte Flair, like she could definitely have a 6-month reign and just face off with various opponents. But again, when you're in there with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair and a potentially returning Sasha Banks and a potentially returning Becky Lynch soon, and now that they're kind of starting to shuffle up these rosters a little, and you don't know where Flair's going to show up, you don't know where Banks is going to show up, you don't know where Naomi is going to show up. Toxic Attraction is on the horizon. Liv Morgan is just, she was booked as a champion a really bad time.
So
a very, very, very bad time. So I feel like I don't necessarily like that they had to take the title off her, but I understand why they had to take the title off her, because if Liv Morgan beat Ronda Rousey again, let me bring a couple statistics to you. As much as we don't like Goldberg, he's a megastar and he's lost like 4 matches in a row. Brock Lesnar has lost like the past 5 out of his 6 matches. That takes away the star power from those individuals. And if Ronda Rousey is going to sit there and lose, then why should I be excited to watch Ronda Rousey?
Right. Yeah. No, I suppose you have a fair point, but you were asking me where does this lead us with Ronda Rousey? I'll tell you exactly where it leads. Leads us to Ronda versus Becky 1-on-1 at WrestleMania for the title, and Becky finally beats her. Well, not finally. She beat her at 35, but that was a triple threat.
You know, WWE and Triple H, again, Triple H isn't going to be batting 100. They shot themselves in the foot tremendously when they decided to move the draft from September till after WrestleMania, which means we have to deal with these rosters for another 6 months. Now you have to find some bogus reason to get Becky Lynch onto SmackDown. Remember, Seth Rollins is still on Raw, so she's probably not going to want to do that. It's just,
have her win the Royal Rumble and then just have her jump ship.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely get what you mean, and I do agree with that booking standpoint, because Becky Lynch is back to being a white hot baby face, and Ronda Rousey is the red hot heel.
Thank God.
So it basically
thank God.
I feel bad for Liv Morgan. I hope with any potential drafts coming up, they can just move her back to Raw and she can win the Raw Women's Championship. Or I don't want Liv Morgan to fizzle out like Nikki ASH did.
And you know what? Just thinking more and more about it as we were talking about this, I don't think she's going to fizzle out. I have a theory that we can get into a little bit later. But Liv loses the title after a fun run.
Yeah. People are talking about the weird smile at the end of the match, and they might say this could be a potential heel turn. I don't know about that.
I don't think it's a heel turn specifically.
It screams what they did with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss last year, where Flair just murdered Lily and Bliss just foamed at the mouth, and we didn't see Bliss for another like 8 months, and then Lily's back. Like, it's not any convoluted booking like that, but I don't know. I do think the fans are looking into it. To me, I saw Morgan's face. She was going loopy from that submission hold, and she was just like, well, this is where my Cinderella story ends.
And that was a 6 submission hold, too. Like, yeah, my word.
Rating wise, 2.5 stars. I appreciated the effort, but there was a lot of silliness in this match.
Yeah, I'm gonna match it 2.5. I wanted to like this match more, but there were a couple other sloppy elements. Like, there was a spot that they wanted to do with a chair wedged in the second and third rope in the corner that just completely backfired. And good on them for improvising, but I don't know.
Ronda Rousey is a good
for me.
Ronda Rousey is a good professional wrestler, but there's still a lot of aspects of professional wrestling that she doesn't get, and Rousey does not know how to call her spots. She's good at submission holds, she's good at grappling, she's good at all of that, but when it comes to calling your spots, that's a skill that needs to be learned.
Well, one thing I will say for sure is she is a damn good heel, because this crowd hated Ronda Rousey. There was a sign that said Rousey is lousy during her entrance.
And I was watching this show with my girlfriend, and then she saw the sign that says Rousey is lousy. She goes, what? And then all of a sudden she's quiet for a minute. She goes, ooh, they're booing her. I'm like, yep. They hate her guts now. They hate her guts.
Well, and she's embracing it. I like her more as a heel personally, but anyhow, next match, again, a match I
Yeah.
really wanted to like, but I appreciated how physical it was.
Oh yeah, up next we have a strap match with Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre. This is like the semi-main event. You know, this is the second biggest feud going on in SmackDown right now. I don't think we've discussed it on this podcast yet. Maybe we talked about a little Clash of the Castle, but Karrion Kross made his return to WWE a couple of months ago as one of Triple H's recruits. He is one of the many that were wrongfully fired under the Vince regime. Kross is back. His presentation is back. Scarlett is back. That adds a whole other dimension to the character.
Adds so much to his presentation. Now, you know,
and his first target is the former WWE champion Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is coming off a huge loss against Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. So this is one of those cases where
don't remind me.
Who do you book to win this match? And you said it best. This match was very physical, and I have a very unfortunate story about this match.
Okay.
So as the match was about to start, so me and my girlfriend have this running inside joke. It's been going ever since we started dating. And you are going to make a very, very weird face when I say this, but I will explain it. It's that Roman Reigns is the kinkiest wrestler in WWE. So we watched Hell in a Cell 2016.
Oh, no.
And remember, that show was main evented by Roman Reigns and Miro for the United States title inside Hell in a Cell. And you remember there was a point where Miro locked in the Accolade with a steel chain. And that's when she said, whoa, that is kinky. There is a steel chain in this match. As the years went on, we noticed that Reigns always gets choked with a chain, or he gets choked with the leg of the chair, or he gets handcuffed and dog food poured all over him. We're just like, that's just really unnecessarily kinky.
Oh.
So I was explaining to her that a strap match is two wrestlers are bound by a leather strap, and they get to use that as a weapon. So I told her, I think this match is going to be very kinky. So as the match is about to begin, Kross refuses to officially start the match, and he starts hitting Drew McIntyre. They spill out to the ring, and I chose the worst. I worded this in the worst way possible.
Oh, no.
I said, oh, no, the match hasn't officially started yet because Karrion Kross hasn't put the strap on. And I stopped myself.
No.
And just like Kurt Angle in that 2002 promo on SmackDown, I said, no, that's not what I meant. That is not what I meant. Let me try that one more time.
Let me try that one more time.
So I was just sitting there, and we were both laughing our asses off. And I go, okay, what I meant to say was, and I could have been worse. And I was literally about to say, McIntyre could force the strap on to Kross.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, this is getting worse. This is getting worse. And I'm just like, and I said, I'm done. I'm not talking for the rest of this match.
You're figuratively falling further down the white rabbit hole, basically. But
oh, yeah.
My word. No, that's funny, dude.
But
like,
I couldn't take this match seriously at all after this. This was very physical.
Man, these
guys
beat the hell out of each other, didn't they?
They did.
There was a point where
McIntyre?
Karrion Kross, yes, straps on, and he basically is pulling Drew McIntyre over this way, and Drew's right shoulder hits the ring post, and he starts selling it, and he's like, "Damn it, out!" You know, in this big old raspy Scottish voice that I adore.
What is with McIntyre? And just he gets beaten with a steel chair by the Bloodline. He gets beaten with a crutch by Lashley. He gets beaten with a strap by Karrion Kross. Like this guy can take some punishment.
Oh yeah. And Karrion Kross was whipping this poor man on the outside. Which, by the way, shout out to Corey Graves for joking with Michael Cole at the beginning of this when he said, "Oh, this ain't nothing like a country whipping match. There's no bubble wrap involved." And I'm like,
I love that.
Yeah,
I had to explain that reference to Brittany, and it was wonderful.
Much more physical than that.
She said country whipping match, and like a freaking robot, I perked up, I put my finger up, and I said, in 2011, Jake Hager and Michael Cole teamed up against JR and Jerry the King Lawler in a country whipping match where they both got their own leather, all four men got the leather straps of their own, and they can use them as weapons. Michael Cole didn't want to get whipped, so he wrapped himself in bubble wrap and still to protect himself, and then they ripped it off him, and they whipped him anyway. There's your wrestling lesson for the evening.
Wrestling Poindexter over here, but anyway, yeah, these two are brawling all over the arena. They're using the strap to their advantage. Here's my thing about, so first of all, obviously love Drew McIntyre. I think he was brilliant in this. Here's my thing with Karrion Kross, right? And I've been trying to put my finger on what it is about him that's not really clicking with me. I love his presentation. I love the fact that he got the entrance back. I love that he has the black and white. I love especially that they brought Scarlett back, because that just adds a lot to the gimmick, right? It just, like, bringing his wife into the fold, their chemistry is undeniable here. And Scarlett being his his vixen of power is just incredible. I love how strong Scarlett is as well. But here's my thing. I have said probably since, like, ZNT show number 10 or 11, when we were talking about Karrion Kross in NXT, he hasn't really put on the match that you'll remember Karrion Kross for yet. And Tomas made a really good point to me earlier today. He said Karrion Kross is not really meant to be a 5-star wrestler. He's meant to be an attraction, which is exactly what he is. He's our generation's Kane, essentially, is my best analogy. Because think about it. What big matches has Kane had that you can say that was a 5-star match? That was freaking incredible. Yeah. You can't really say that.
Kane was never in there doing Hurricane Ranas and 450 splashes, and he's not, performing 3 super kicks in a row just to get a near count. He was choke slamming people through tables. And even for a man his size, still jumping off the top rope, but doing like big clotheslines. He was, what was he famous for in the Royal Rumble? He was famous for absolutely annihilating everybody in that match with a trash can and just punches and clotheslines and big boots and choke slams. Mm-hmm. Like, he was a hoss, and that's what Karrion Kross is. He's a hoss. Yep. And you're not going to put Karrion. Okay, here's the thing. At NXT, who did he fight? He fought Kyle O'Reilly. He fought Adam Cole. He fought Finn Balor. And those were all like so-so matches. You're not going to put Karrion Kross in the ring with a guy like Johnny Gargano and Ricochet and get this is awesome quality match. You're going to put him in there with Roman Reigns. You're going to put him in there with Drew McIntyre. You're going to put him in there with Sheamus.
Yeah.
And they're going to beat the hell out of each other.
Exactly.
So I think this match served its purpose very well. Yeah. There was at one point where they got the classic, the yay boo spot with the baby faces hitting and the crowd going yay and the heel hitting and they're going boo. Those punches turned into leather strap hits, but not in the chest, in the face. These guys were hitting each other with a belt in the face.
Like right in the freaking neck and all over the place. It was brutal. But Karrion Kross does hit his cross jacket Saito suplex for 2. Drew McIntyre finally makes his comeback, and the crowd is all fired up because they love Drew McIntyre because, who wouldn't? Drew is setting up for the Claymore. He does 3, 2, 1. Scarlett gets in his way. And Drew does not want to hit a woman because he is a classy gent that way.
I don't even think McIntyre didn't even get the chance to react to this because Scarlett just straight up pulls out a can of mace and maces this poor lad.
Yes, right in the fucking eyes.
Back. She did not hold back. She sprayed this guy like he was a freaking cockroach.
Oh yeah, and then Kross finally hit his big old crosshammer forearm to the back of the head, and he pins Drew McIntyre.
Time's up.
Oh,
I think that move is called. I remember. Well, I know that's what he yelled in NXT before he hit it.
Michael Cole called it a crosshammer. I'm just going to go with that.
Call it that now. Yeah. I don't think they officially called it that in NXT. I just remember Kross yelling time's up before he hit it.
Which is a really nice touch. But this was absolutely the right person to put over. If Triple H was going to build this guy, to the main event level of Drew McIntyre, he was going to have to beat Drew McIntyre. And I'm cool with that.
You don't debut this guy, have him jog to Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes, put him in suspenders and a gimp mask, have him get fired, and then bring him back just so we can go back to losing. I know
you don't do that.
To have Drew McIntyre lose 2 pay-per-views in a row, especially after he lost a world title match that he should have won. And I know it sucks, but let's just say McIntyre can afford these 2 losses a lot more than Karrion Kross can afford this 1 loss. They're probably going to have a return match and Drew McIntyre is going to get his win back, but I agree. This was definitely the right guy to pull over. And I didn't hate the ending. It's just like, I looked at it and I go, it's like Scarlett and Kross were in the back and saying, hey, you're going to do all the heavy lifting, but if things get dicey, I'm just going to fucking mace this guy. So either way, you're going to win no matter what.
Oh, totally.
So it's not like the referee could stop him. No ref bump was needed. Scarlett just straight up, and Scarlett might as well just pulled out a fucking Glock, like Glock Anderson, and shot this poor lad. The
I'm just imagining that
so
visual. Scarlett having a big ol' ass rifle. Like, if you
yeah, exactly.
again, I'm gonna kill you. Could you
So
imagine?
Scarlett is Cross's insurance policy in the best way possible.
Yeah,
Again, some people have suggested, like, what are you going to do to keep Scarlett at bay? People have said a steel cage match, but
shark
if
cage.
Scarlett is, yeah, that's another idea. You could put Scarlett in a shark cage.
Yeah,
You could pull a WrestleMania 13 or the WrestleMania 14, and I don't know, have Scarlett be handcuffed to Adam Pearce.
maybe. Yeah, no, that's
Do
an
something
idea.
like that.
That's an idea. It's honestly, man, this is like strap matches for me can be good here and there. I love the strap match between The Rock and Triple H at Fully Loaded 1999. That is a hidden gem.
Vader and Sting is another excellent strap match.
I guess Eddie and JBL in a Texas Bull Rope match somewhat counts because you have a similar idea, but
I was going to say, you can talk about variants of the strap match. You can talk about the very underrated Samoan strap match between Umaga and CM Punk from 2009.
That was a good one.
You can talk about, I was telling Brittany about the cowbell, the bull rope match, the bull rope match between Batista and JBL, where Batista whipped the cowbell into JBL's nose and broke it.
Yeah.
There's another very underrated bull rope match between Dusty Rhodes and Randy Orton from Great American Bash 2007.
Yeah.
This is a fun match. The only one I can recall that I really hated was JTG and Shad, because why was that a strap match to begin with?
Don't forget The Fiend and Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. That was a great match. Yeah. That was a great match there. Match. But I mean, as far as this one goes, I'm gonna give it a 3. I thought it was certainly very physical. I think they got the idea.
I'm gonna give it 3 1/4.
Okay.
I enjoyed the physicality. I like that this is a big feud on SmackDown between two potential main eventers.
Yes.
Kross came in and everyone was already saying he was going to get inserted in the world title picture. Karrion Kross has a good future ahead of him, and thank God. He is not the best wrestler, but he has potential, and he is now in the hands of a good booker.
He certainly. Here's my thing. I think Karrion Kross is going to be a big player under this Triple H regime, and he's going to be a gigantic attraction. You know, and
he is definitely a future world champion once they separate these titles.
I cannot wait to see a Karrion Kross WrestleMania entrance this year. Like, that's going to be so cool to witness live. But
once they split up the titles, I can 100% guarantee you we will have the reign of Kross as Universal Champion. But while Roman Reigns is holding both of these belts hostage, I can't say that.
And we will all fall and pray once that happens. But anyway, speaking of titles, Bianca Belair is defending her Raw Women's Championship against Bayley, the leader of Damage Control, in a ladder match. That's a great touch. And this is history here, Tomas. I have a statistic for the class. This is the very first women's ladder match on the main roster. Now, we've seen women's TLC matches, but not a women's ladder match.
Can you believe that?
Crazy how long it took to get us to this point.
Michael Cole with some very good history. Him saying, this was a very nice touch too. He said the very first televised match in WWE, because there have been very controversial statements with them saying in the past, oh, this was the first ladder match ever, when Bret Hart has gone on an account saying like, oh, hell no. The ladder match was originated in Canada. I was actually involved in a ladder match in Canada. That was the very first televised ladder match in WWE. So I'm glad that have you noticed that Triple H is starting to not rewrite history, but he's starting to revise it and say, hey, that's not true. This is true. Antonio Inoki, he is acknowledging Antonio Inoki's very short WWF championship reign when he won it from Bob Backlund. And now he is acknowledging that, hey, WWE didn't invent the ladder match.
Yeah, it's
I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, it's Triple H is brilliant in general, but I love the fact that he's willing to educate us on the history of wrestling in, like, you know, for any new viewers as well. Like, anyone who's like, I guarantee you there's somebody who's watching wrestling for the first time with Extreme Rules here. And honestly, sprinkling in these little history lessons is a nice added touch for the first time viewers. It's awesome.
Yeah, because if you're watching WWE in the modern era, and let's say you started watching in 2012, you may have had you were convinced because of Vince McMahon that Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon was the first ladder match ever, and now you're finding out no, that's not true.
So Here's my thing with this ladder match here. First of all, both brilliant wrestlers here. These two worked a really fun Hell in a Cell match a year ago.
Did you notice right before the ring announcement starts, Bianca Belair and Bayley broke character for a split second just to look at each other and go, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, just to point at each other. And during the ring introductions, once Bayley is introduced, she makes a point to go over to Michael Cole and yell at him a little bit. If I do not get Bayley versus Michael Cole at WrestleMania, I'm going to ask for my money back. Because
it's gotta happen. That is, I am ready for Bayley to call Michael Cole out to the ring, and Michael Cole is just going to rip his suit out and reveal how fucking jacked he is.
Oh,
and
God.
Bayley is going to shit her pants. Because she is in for the ass beating of her lifetime.
I'm gonna be half sarcastic there when I say that, but I mean, I would cheer Bayley in that scenario anyway. But this match was pretty good. I think they had some really nice little spots in there, like the ladder bridge on the steel stairs there. Bayley doing the Macho Man elbow as Bianca's laying on that, which was
elbow.
Yeah. Oh, it was
very nasty.
Gruesome. Both ladies hit their finishers. Bayley's new finisher, the Rose Plant, which is just like a reverse DDT. Really?
Which I fucking hate. I hate that move. I understand why she can't use the Bayley to Bayley anymore because that's such a babyface move.
Yeah. It's such a babyface name, too.
It's, there are very few finishers I hate in wrestling. The Ozone / Playmaker is still the worst finisher I've ever seen in my life. I've talked about how the breakdown is stupid. The stroke is not too better, but The Miz finally got it right with the skull crushing finale. And then there's this. It's kind of like Jon Moxley's first iteration of Dirty Deeds before it turned into the paradigm shift. Before it turned, it started off as this, then it turned into the Cactus DDT, which he called Dirty Deeds, and then it evolved into the paradigm shift, which is just like Avalanche Brainbuster.
Yeah.
But if you remember, the original version of Dirty Deeds was Moxley would put like a front headlock on you and do a bulldog, but it wouldn't be a running bulldog. He would just like sweep up his legs and plant you down. It wasn't the prettiest finisher. But Bayley does like a version of this where she like twists the arm up and then she just face plants you. There's no impact on this move. There's no oomph on this move. And it just, half of the time, it looks very sloppy. So I really don't like this move.
Fair enough.
Bayley has never been known for like really good finishers. The Bayley to Bayley was all right. It was a good to get a pop from the crowd. Didn't she use like a crossface at once?
I don't think so. I don't think she did.
At some point. I know she was like some sort of submissional at one point.
Yeah.
But anywho,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's the Rose Plant. I don't like it, but I think I'm in the minority when I say that.
Yeah. I like how they added the element of Bayley's surgically repaired knee into the story, because there was a point where she took a nasty landing. She was grabbing at her knee, but it turns out that she was grabbing at her knee because she was getting one of the metal stabilizers off of her knee brace, and she wanted to go and use that as a weapon. Turns out, didn't exactly happen that way. She goes to hit Bianca with the piece. Bianca hits the KOD, and then she starts to climb. And this is where I start to have an issue with the match. So Bianca is climbing, and then Damage Control comes out, Dakota and Io. I don't have an issue with them coming out and interfering. I expected that because it's no disqualification, right? So Bianca hits a really awesome spot here, a double KOD on both ladies, which is just insane. Absolutely insane how strong she is.
I'm going to go on point and say this right now. This is a bold-ass statement, but I'm sure a lot of people would agree. Bianca Belair is the female John Cena. She is strong as fuck. And it's only a matter of time until a gargantuan woman comes in this business and she's going to KOD her like it's nothing. What have we seen Bianca do? We have seen her put Sasha Banks in a vertical suplex and walk up the steel steps.
Yep.
We have seen Bianca Belair KOD people into ladders. We've seen her, again, stack two ladies on her shoulders and do this at once. We've seen her do the same vertical suplex, but do running high knees at the same time. This woman is incredibly strong. And I just couldn't help but think about John Cena when I saw that.
You know what else? You know what else makes me think that she's the female John Cena? She's great with the kids. If you go to a live event, all those little girls freaking love Bianca Belair. They are just so excited to see her. Like, we can attest to this. We saw a bunch of Bianca marks at the SAP Center.
Including us. But here's the thing. I have been seeing some stupid theories saying that, Bianca Belair could be put in a position where she has to cut her hair off. I'm going to say this right now. as long as there are little girls in the crowd doing their hair up like Bianca Belair, she will never cut that hair.
Exactly.
Never.
Well, until she turns heel, like Bayley did. You remember how Bayley's hair was up in a ponytail, and all the little girls were doing the same thing with Bayley?
As long as Bianca Belair is a babyface, and there are little girls out there doing her hair like that, she is never going to willingly cut that hair.
And I don't see any reason to turn Bianca heel either.
Yeah. Speaking of the hair, so Bayley starts to make her way up the ladder, and we have talked about this before, and we've both said that we don't like it. We did not like in NXT that Bianca Belair used that hair as a weapon in every single match. And I was scared when she got called up to the main roster that would be her gimmick, was the hair whip. I can count the amount of times Bianca Belair has used her hair as a weapon since she got called up 2 years ago on one hand.
Yeah. And that includes
did it at WrestleMania 37. She did it at WrestleMania 38. She maybe did it on a time on Raw. Did she do it at SummerSlam?
I don't think she did, no.
No, she did not end this match because Bianca Belair was put in a position where she knew she was going to lose her title. So Bayley grabbed her hair, and once Belair got it back, she started whipping the hell. A lot of whipping on this show.
Yes, a lot of country whipping on this show.
I like that Bianca Belair saves the hair for the big time matches like this.
Yes.
For the WrestleManias, for the matches where it's going to feel special.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. So Bayley was also bleeding like slightly from the mouth at this point, and I don't exactly understand how it happened, but it might have even been aggravated more.
I think it was from the finishing spot.
Well, no, she was bleeding before that, and then
I did not notice that.
What happened is Bayley has a piece of a ladder that was broken in half, and she goes to hit Bianca with it. While she's holding this ladder piece, Bianca hits a KOD. Bayley lands right on her fucking face on the ladder, and I'm like, yeah, Michael Cole said it best. She's going to have a busted face and everything like that.
And to make matters worse, Bayley was holding that piece of the ladder, so she took the full impact on her face. And it was also a very nice callback to their Hell in a Cell match in 2021, where Bianca Belair defeated Bayley by KODing her on the ladder. And in a very, very, very surprising ending, Bianca Belair retains the Raw Women's Championship.
That's my issue.
I'm in the minority. Everybody wanted Bayley to win, but I just like Bianca Belair, and I love this reign that she's on. You got to admit, her SmackDown Women's title reign was ended way too soon, and I think they're making up for here now.
Yeah, they're making up for it.
Bianca Belair will walk into WrestleMania with the Raw Women's Championship.
You think so? Maybe her against Charlotte?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a dream match waiting to happen, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. I mean,
if she is the female John Cena. Remember, John Cena held the WWE Championship for over a year, and he only lost it due to injury.
Yep.
Belair's a girl.
You're right. I mean, I love Bianca Belair too, but I feel like this was the perfect time to put the title on Bayley, if nothing else. Like after she went through the injury and everything like that, with a new stable. Like, because here's my thing. If you're going to make Damage Control a legitimate threat, especially when you're going into War Games next month, like, my thought is, why do you have to make them look like geeks going into War Games? Because Bianca had no help getting rid of Damage Control. So why should she need help going after the Damage Control in War Games?
Before we go further into this is where I started. Okay, you're going to call me crazy. This is when I started maybe suspecting the White Rabbit was going to show up because hold on, hear me out.
That was that Belair clue.
It was the Belair clue. It's the fact that Alexa Bliss has been suspiciously a part of all this, and we didn't see Alexa Bliss and Asuka in this match at all.
Well, no.
So just when Belair was climbing up the ladder, I was just like, this looks like it might be a blackout spot. I was wrong. Thankfully, I didn't want to be right. I was just a little inkling, a little suspicion there, and nobody would have saw it coming. Nobody would have saw it coming in the Raw Women's Championship match. Everyone was saying the I Quit match, the strap match, the main event, but more on that later. And I do understand where you're coming from. I love Bayley, and I do think draping Damage Control in gold, there would have been no shame in Bianca Belair dropping the title here.
Not at all.
But you say, why make Damage Control look like geeks going into War Games? They're going to get their win back in War Games, and it's going to be a huge win. It's going to be a huge statement.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to win War Games because here's my thing. Like, Bayley wins the title here. She doesn't pin Bianca. Bianca does not look weak. like, leaving this match at all. I think this match could have been set up as a way so that Bianca could lose the Raw Women's title to Bayley and drape Damage Control and all the gold without pinning Bianca. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh yeah, absolutely, and I agree. And I will say here right now, if Damage Control loses at War Games, they're dead in the water.
Yeah, which I think may be the case because Becky Lynch has a separated shoulder that she's recuperating from, which is not a very long injury to heal, to my knowledge. So I think Becky Lynch, we could be seeing her back at any time. And I think she's going to be joining the baby faces in War Games and getting the win.
Oh yeah.
So
I do think Damage Control gets their win back at War Games. There are other women in that match that you could easily pin. Asuka, Alexa Bliss, as much as I hate seeing Asuka get pinned. It's going to be some fun speculation going in there. And then there is a way for Bayley to get this momentum back. And I hate doing this, but Damage Control does have a legit excuse to be on SmackDown right now. I fucking hate this. I hate this. I want them to stay on their own fucking shows. Yeah. But Bayley could potentially go after the SmackDown Women's Championship. Technically, she should not be on SmackDown because she is not part of the Women's Tag Team Champions. But WWE doesn't give a fuck about that right now, and it bugs me so much.
It's a freebird rule.
I'm just saying, by straight up technicality and loopholes, Bayley could go after the SmackDown Women's Championship, but it's currently being held by a heel. Just saying.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I'm just saying speculation on how Bayley can get some of that momentum back. But also, Bayley is a veteran here. She is just like Drew McIntyre. She's just like Seth Rollins. She's just like Edge. She can afford a loss. I think Bayley will be fine.
Yeah, I think she will, but I don't know, man. I feel like this is the time. And if she wasn't going to get the title now, I don't know when she'll ever get it. But
I get you, though.
I'm going to go ahead and say 3.5 stars. 3.5 stars, by the way.
I'm actually going to go 3 3/4. I enjoyed this match a lot.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I get what you mean, because including WrestleMania Backlash, including Hell in a Cell, Bianca Belair is 3-0 against Bayley.
Yep. Bianca's got Bayley's number.
And now they're all. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Isn't it crazy? We spent a lot of time talking about the women's matches. Tony Khan, take notes. This is how you book women's wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I think this is also the point in the show where the Miz is on the phone talking to his wife about how he hasn't talked to, I don't know why I have to dwell on this little part of the segment or mention it, but it was just so funny. Like, Miz is just on the phone and like it pans over and the fucking Flyers mascot is still standing there and stalking him. And then the Miz looks over and he's like, I'm on the phone. And then like Gritty just walks away. I'm like, I don't know why it's so funny.
Because it's feud of the year. We're going to get these guys at WrestleMania.
I'm just waiting for the Miz to hit a skull-crushing finale on this freaking mascot, like, anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. Let's get serious.
Seriousness. Let's get very serious. In this next match, it is Finn Balor taking on the Rated R superstar Edge in an I Quit match.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite stipulations. I love it.
Absolutely. First things first, Finn Balor has some brand new theme music. It is an evil version of his babyface music. I personally love it.
Yeah.
You can still hear when he's supposed to hit the poses.
And he just doesn't.
Obviously, he's not going to do that, but he's a heel. But I love it. I love it more than whatever that generic shit they had him doing while he was not using the Judgment Day theme. And you want to talk about what he was wearing to the ring?
So, yeah, no, it was very bizarre. So Edge comes out like normal Rated R superstar, of course, and it was funny because like the first time he runs to the opposite side of the arena to get them fired up, the security guy was like stratified all the way back so that like he could get out of the audience's peripheral vision. That guy's very flexible. But
he was straight up pulling the Matrix when Edge came up to him. Also, apparently in the strap match while McIntyre and Kross were fighting in the ringside area, the security guard was like holding fans back, and he heard one of the chops McIntyre gave Kross. And I've never seen a security guard react before, but he just kind of looks back and goes, "Ooh."
Yeah. Bonus points.
I could never be a security guard right there. I could never be a security guard at an arena because I have sat ringside before at shows, and those security guards have to be facing you the entire time, and I couldn't do it.
No.
I could not do it.
No way. But Finn Balor, like you mentioned, comes down to the ring with that badass theme song, and he is wearing like this weird mask thing. It doesn't even look like a mask. It looked like it was suffocating him. It's almost like if Hellraiser and Demolition had a baby, and you have this version of Finn Balor.
It was spiky. I could see where the mouth hole was so he could breathe, and I could see where the eye holes were so he could see. But other than that, this thing just like, I'm going to make a very, very weird reference.
Uh-oh.
You as a movie buff, have you ever seen Escape from Tomorrow?
No, I have not. No, that's one.
Oh my God. It is an unofficial, like, I don't want to say parody film, but it's like a propaganda film towards Disneyland.
Okay.
It's about this family that goes to Disney World, and there's like evil subliminal messages. And there's that one part, I don't want to dwell on this too much because it's a stupid movie. There's that one point where he gets like captured by scientists and he's inside Epcot, and then like the you know how like the metallic
I see where you're going with this.
Of the Epcot, it starts forming around his base, and it looks like that. If any of you have seen Escape from Tomorrow, and I know for the two of you out there who have seen it, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But it looks like that.
Sound off down in the comments if you've seen Escape from Tomorrow and if I should see it, because I don't know if I'm convinced.
No. Anywho,
yeah.
Not only that, I turn to my girlfriend and I say, "Hey, Finn Balor, how you feel about going into this match?" And Finn Balor probably just said, "I can't see shit." Yeah.
Imagine being Kevin Patrick backstage in Gorilla with him before this, trying to interview him.
Either that or he said, "I can't breathe."
Yeah, well, I mean, there were a lot of cases where these guys were putting the other person in weird positions to not have them be able to utter the words "I quit," because that's the only way you can win this.
I loved this match.
It was match of the night for me, especially after sitting through it again earlier today. It was just tremendous storytelling. It was extremely emotional.
What I love about I Quit matches is just how they build in suspense. When they first start off, they're doing simple things. They're knocking each other to the ground. They're doing their typical wrestling thing. Like what I really liked in Batista versus John Cena versus 2010 is that it would start off with, "Oh, Cena hits the attitude adjustment. Ask him if he wants to quit. Oh, Batista hit the Batista bomb. Ask him to quit." And then by the time we got to the end of the match, it's Cena threatening to AA Batista off of a car through the stage. And that's how the match ends. So this match starts out with like your typical submission hold. Finn Balor has a
figure four
leg lock on the time. Edge reverses it. It starts off like simple.
And it's also
no, I don't quit. No, I don't quit.
Let me stop you right there, too, because another reason why this is one of my favorite stipulations, personally, is the fact that these guys can actually respond in the microphone, like, with just some of the best trash talk ever. Like, Edge is in the figure four, and he's selling it, and the referee is putting the microphone up to Edge's mouth, so you can hear the selling over the PA system in the arena. And then, like, there's a point where Chad Patton's like, "Do you quit?" Edge is like, "Get that out of my face."
My favorite one in this entire match is, I forgot what happened, but the referee asked Edge if he wants to quit, and Edge goes, I don't quit.
I freaking loved the false finishes. Like, that was something else that was like
that. Like, imagine if Edge said, "I don't not quit." What if he turned into Pinocchio from Shrek 3 and just thought, "Well, I certainly don't not fathom the idea."
I most certainly am not.
About not thinking about considering the fact that I may or may not possibly not want to quit.
Oh my God. This is like Finn Balor would just get annoyed and leave at that point. But I love the false finishes because you don't really feel that. Like, Edge is like, I don't remember what Finn was hitting him with, but it was I'm trying to look in the so Finn is hitting Edge with repeated chair shots. That's basically what led to Edge saying, I equal rating. No, I'm kidding. No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. But but yeah, they're fighting through the crowd. They're fighting by the kickoff panel. It's very reminiscent of Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles in 2016 would be proud of this.
Yeah.
They go over to the kickoff show table, and they're fighting there. Edge puts on that little cross-jacket submission with a hockey stick, might I add. Speaking of,
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah. Uh, at one point, Balor hits a swing blade on the outside, which is pretty cool. They brawl out to the audience, like you said. They're almost at the concourse. And one thing that I found really disgusting is that Edge was bouncing Finn Balor's face off of the steps. And I'm just like, you know how many people have walked up and down that thing? Edge, you sick bastard.
Oh, yeah. And Edge goes for a spear like he's going to spear Finn clean off the stairs. Finn thankfully moves out of the way, and Edge lands crotch first on that railing.
Yeah, Balor puts Edge in between the rails, and he's wrenching back on. I hope both these guys got a tetanus shot after this match, because you don't know where the hell this set. Again, it's being touched and stepped on by thousands of people.
Right.
So props to these guys for going through this.
Yeah. Edge applies that crossface submission with the hockey stick in Finn's mouth. And what I loved about this specifically wasn't just the pain and the torment of that submission hold and just how inventive it was. It was the referee putting the microphone up in Finn's mouth while it had a hockey stick in there, as if Finn could say that he quits with a hockey stick in his mouth.
Again, back to that Batista and Cena match. I remember there was one point where Cena made Batista tap out with the STFU, and the referee is asking Batista if he quits while he's waking up. Like, this guy just passed out. He doesn't know where the fuck he is.
He tapped out.
Exactly.
Like, that's the equivalent of quitting. I quit matches like another form of a submission match, basically. But
it's wild. A lot of people didn't like the first half of this match. I did. I will say it did pick up at the end near this part, because Edge puts on the educator, which I love, by the way. And right before Balor's going to quit, the Judgment Day hits the ring. It's,
of course they do.
Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio. They start beating up Edge, but Edge fights back. He hits Priest with the spear, and then he's one-on-one with Dominic Mysterio. And I said, you know what? If your daddy won't whoop your ass, well, Uncle Edge is going to do it. And he takes Dominic to Dick Kick City. Dominic goes down, he's beating the shit out of Dom.
Well, he hit the Big E spear on Finn, and then all the Judgment Day members that were at ringside at the time just completely tumbled to the floor.
Fucking insane. I turned to Brittany and I go, not bad for an old man. And then right after he said that, Michael Cole says that Edge was in his prime like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he doing spears out of the apron. Like, this guy is a fucking maniac, and
he's a machine, man. I don't want him to retire next year. I mean, all his wishes, you know. But Rhea actually handcuffs Edge to the top rope, and the Judgment Day starts beating up on Edge. Rey Mysterio's music hits. He runs down, and then Dominic just waffles his father, and Michael Cole is so fucking pissed at this kid. Michael Cole was out of this world. Like, he was just screaming at this kid. Like, you know.
Remember, during our retrospective, remember how I told you I liked how Michael Cole turned it up for these personal feuds? This is the most intense I've heard Michael Cole since those days.
Yeah. What is wrong with you? He's your father, for God's sake.
I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Michael Cole has gotten so much better without Vince in his ear.
We've had hints of that Michael Cole, like WrestleMania 30, him getting signed for Bryan Danielson. It really started up again this past WrestleMania when he was all behind Pat McAfee. So again, Michael Cole has been revitalized this past year. And it's so nice. So nice to see that he's found. He remembered why he's so damn good.
These past 2 months, really. It's great. Finn continues to beat up Edge with a kendo stick in the ring. Then things get really dicey as Edge's wife, the Glamazon Beth Phoenix, runs interference. And she is beating the crap out of the Judgment Day with a kendo stick. She doesn't need no man. Beth Phoenix is freaking strong.
And apparently everybody's been waiting for this standoff, and I didn't realize I wanted it as much until this, but she comes face-to-face with Rhea Ripley.
She sure does.
Every time this happens, I'm just like, Beth Phoenix still has so much gas left in the tank, because I want to see this match now.
She's a Hall of Famer, dude. She's been a Hall of Famer. 5 years ago, she was inducted.
So long. Like, my God. But they start going at it. And this is where I started getting scared. I'm like, okay, I have my predictions for this match, and I think this is where they start coming into fruition. But no, Beth Phoenix is able to take down Rhea Ripley, and she's able to free Edge from the handcuffs. So Edge is free. He starts spearing everybody. He hits Priest. He hits Dominic.
Hits Dominic. This is where he hits Dominic in the penis, by the way. Dominic goes for the handshake. He's trying to beg off, and then Michael Cole is just begging Edge to kick this kid right down low. And when Edge does it, Michael Cole is so excitedly saying, "Shades of Cardiff, good for you. Get rid of that little brat." Like, he does not like Dominic Mysterio at all.
So this is where I thought Edge was going to win because Edge hits 3 spears on Finn Balor. He asked Beth Phoenix to bring him a chair. He breaks off the leg. He goes for that crossface again, but that's when the numbers game start catching up with him again.
Yeah.
The Judgment Day starts beating down Edge. 3 coup de grace from Finn Balor.
Well, don't forget, before all of that, Rhea Ripley hits Beth Phoenix, knocks her out cold, and Rhea Ripley had a pair of brass knuckles.
Exactly. Channeling her inner William Regal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, imagine the Judgment Day Bloody War Games next.
I knew this was going to happen, but when it did, I did not think it was going to tear me apart inside.
Oh,
so the Judgment Day holds up Edge, and they tell Balor says, "I'm going to give you one more chance. Say I quit," and Edge says no.
He says, Balor, "Go to hell."
Yeah,
specifically.
He tells Ripley to go get a chair. In that minute, I was like, I know where this is going. She grabs 2 chairs. She's setting up for a concerto. And Balor says, I'm going to give you one more chance. Say I quit. And Edge is going, Beth, no. And Edge says, I quit.
Yeah.
And Balor wins.
And Michael Cole adamantly said, Finn Balor wins the wrestling match because Edge had no choice. They were going to harm Beth Phoenix, basically. And I love
Finn Balor.
Yeah. And like freaking, this bastard Finn has a big old smile on his face. He's like, what'd you say? What'd you say?
Yeah.
It was so great. And then, and then Rhea with the big shit-eating grin on her face is like looking Edge right in the face. You taught me all this. And she hits Beth Phoenix with the concerto anyway. What freaking bastards this Judgment Day is. Like, Triple H has booked Judgment Day correctly as just dastardly heels.
My heart shattered.
Oh.
And I knew this was going to happen, but I couldn't help but just bury my face into my hands, and I didn't say a single word for the rest of the segment.
God. And, we said this last time. You can see why Edge has done a lot of TV shows, because he sold this, like... literally, his wife was almost like killed right in front of him, and like he sold it exactly that way.
Michael Cole is saying, "Can someone get a damn doctor out here?
Yeah,
like, can someone check on Beth Phoenix?" And again, another aspect of this that I loved: no music. They didn't announce Balor as the winner.
Well, Damian Priest announced him as the winner.
Yeah, but the ring announcer, Mike Rome, refused to do it. Priest, Balor, Dominic, and Rhea Ripley. They walk out of the ring and they have the gall to laugh while Edge and Ray and the referees are checking on Beth Phoenix.
This feud must continue. It must continue.
I wanted this to end at SummerSlam, but they have just done such an excellent job.
Yeah. And here's my thing. Corey Graves also made a perfect analogy here, because Edge was the original leader of the Judgment Day. And no matter how many times he beats them or puts them away, they continue to come back and haunt him. It's almost like Dr. Frankenstein and his monster coming back to haunt him at every turn. You know how many Frankenstein sequels there are after that first classic? There's a lot of them, and Judgment Day continues to torment Edge because this was my
match of the night.
Yeah.
And this was 4.5 stars.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4.5 as well. This was, a lot of people might say this match went too long. Bullshit, guys. You guys don't appreciate good stuff. Edge, I get it. Edge has had a lot of long matches around this time of his career, around his twilight, right before he hangs it up for good.
A 45-minute last man standing match in the Performance Center against Randy Orton. I get that. Way too long. But this was, again, there is more to wrestling than 450 splashes and super kicks and near falls and winning 25 championships in one night. Wrestling is about storytelling. And this was an excellent story. I originally was going to give this 4, but the more I thought about it and the more just how much of a good story it told, I have to give it 4.5.
And like how much it affects you, how much it tugs at your heartstrings, how...
We have been watching Edge since we were little kids. We started watching Beth Phoenix when I was a teenager.
We've grown to know Edge and Beth Phoenix. They're like family members to us, Like just how they present themselves, like just seeing them be tormented like this. We don't want to see that.
Yeah, as I shy towards 30 years old, I hate to say that I'm a jaded wrestling fan, but with so much content on TV nowadays, you can't help but be a jaded wrestling fan. But when there is something like this, when there is something like what we saw last month at Clash of the Castle with Ray and Dom, that almost brought me to tears.
Mhm.
When you see storylines like this, like Bryan Danielson winning the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, when you see storylines like, storylines like that, when something affects you this much, it means a lot.
What a tragedy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved it. Match of the night. I can't wait to see this feud continue.
I don't think I've been emotionally like fired up from a feud probably since Kofi Kingston and Bryan Danielson from 2019.
Yeah.
Like, again, as an adult, I rarely yell at the TV anymore, but I yelled at the TV during the build to that feud. And again, I buried my face into my hands after that. And I was quiet for a good 5 minutes.
Man, oh man. Yeah, it was a lot to take in for sure. Edge had no choice but to quit. That was the right way to book it because neither one of these guys were going to quit under normal circumstances. So it's brilliant storytelling. Absolutely love it.
We have been complaining for years that Finn Balor has been booked to be a loser. Finn Balor has just been swept under the rug. And it wasn't until recently that I realized, hey, look, they are booking Balor to win on TV. They are protecting this man. And he's finally getting the push he should have got 5 years ago.
You don't say. But before we get to our main event, I should also tell you this is where the Philadelphia Flyers mascot angle wraps up. The Miz knocks on Triple H's office. The mascot goes to bug him again, and Miz has had enough. He just lays one into this mascot, knocks him down on the floor, and then right behind him, of course, is the creep from the creep farm who chokes him out, and he helps the mascot up to his feet, and then Dexter is like. And then that's how you end the segment.
Oh, no. The mascot kicks the Miz in the ribs. For good measure.
That's right. He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
And the Miz beats up the mascot because he thinks it's Dexter Lumis.
Yep.
Miz, do you watch cartoons? Have you ever watched Bugs Bunny? Or
have you ever watched
and the Roadrunner?
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. That's exactly what this is. So the Miz is trying to set up the trap, and Dexter Lumis just keeps finding a way to get out of this trap.
This guy is one step ahead of you. Like, when are you going to realize that? Again, a lot of sourpusses in the wrestling community nowadays that don't like this feud. I like it. Mm-hmm. What else do you want Dexter Lumis to do right now? What else do you want The Miz to do right now?
It's so fun. So fun. But guys,
just let it be.
Let it be. Let it be indeed. So, my friends, listen to ZG, because we have a main event to talk about here inside the fight pit. A blood feud, if I ever saw one. Matt Riddle and Seth Freakin Rollins. And your special guest referee, as announced on Monday Night Raw, is my favorite UFC fighter of all time, DC himself, Daniel Cormier. Why is he my favorite fighter of all time? It's because he's local, number one, legitimate badass. And he's a legitimate nice guy, too. You don't see an ounce of ego on DC anywhere.
Yeah. So this is the third fight pit match in history and the fourth of its kind. We talked about the Lion's Den match. This is of a different variation of the Lion's Den match. We had one in NXT with Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle with Kurt Angle as the special guest referee there. Or was he?
He was a special guest referee, yeah.
Angle was the ref for that. That was when I was taking a break from wrestling because that was during peak pandemic time. We had another one between Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher in NXT that's very famous. Who was the referee for that one?
I don't remember. I don't remember if there was a special referee for that fight pit, but hey, that honestly, that stat, Timothy Thatcher being in both previous fight pit matches, that's very telling. I think Triple H may come a call into Thatcher as well. But this was the only logical way to end this feud, was in the fight pit. And I've been telling you for a long time, that this should end in the fight pit. And that's exactly what happened.
I like the theme of having a special guest referee because this is a very unique match. There's not really much to talk about the feud. This has just been super personal ever since Clash of the Castle. They have just beating the shit out of each other. They did have a no contact clause the week prior, and that's when Daniel Cormier came on the screen and said, there's only one person to be able to officiate this match. It's DC himself, and he lived up to his word. He said, if any of you get out of line in this fight pit, I will not hesitate to get physical.
One of only two fighters in history to be a double champion in UFC, him and Conor McGregor, which is crazy.
Matt Riddle makes his way. It's his first main event of a pay-per-view. Good for him.
Yep.
Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring, and he is making fun of Matt Riddle's mentor, his inspiration, Rob Van Dam. He is wearing the airbrushed gear. He is doing the pose at the stage, and that's gotta put a big smile on RVD's face,
Oh,
and I hope we see RVD back on TV.
Seth is just the whole effing fuck, just coming out to the ring and doing that stuff. I think
Seth Rollins was RVD's last feud before he left WWE in 2014.
Was he really?
I think it was a short-lived feud. It was one of the last TV matches that RVD wrestled.
I mean, Van Dam was in that Money in the Bank ladder match as well. And honestly, yeah, it is very, very troll-like of Seth Rollins to do this because Matt Riddle, again, idolized Rob Van Dam. And Matt Riddle has grown very endearing to the audience in a similar way that Rob Van Dam did to us in the Ruthless Aggression era. So it's great. And Rollins has like the same like font on his boots on the side of him like Van Dam did. Has his hair in a ponytail like Van Dam did. It's
if there's one thing that I have noticed throughout the show with Finn Balor, with the Brawling Brutes, and now with Matt Riddle, Triple H knows how to build these guys. Like literally 3 months ago, Matt Riddle was just joking around on his scooter, telling stupid stories with Randy Orton, a really good wrestler, but no reason to really take him seriously. He has got that grit now, and he has been so serious. He's been gotten so much better on his promos. He is super physical in the ring, and now I see him come out for this Fight Pit match, and Triple H is just like, there is a main event guy in Matt Riddle.
Oh, there sure is, and he lived up to the hype. He wins this match too, which is excellent.
What is a Fight Pit? A Fight Pit match is basically a steel cage with no ring ropes. And on the second tier of that cage, there is a platform, which honestly has no real reason to be there.
Except for high spots.
It's there for the danger factor. You cannot win by pinfall. There are no disqualifications. And there's obviously no countouts. You cannot win by escaping the cage. There are 2 ways to win this match: knockout, submission.
Yep. It's just like a UFC match, too. Go ahead.
You probably did not like the aspect of this. How do you get that knockout? You get knocked down, and Daniel Cormier starts counting. If you do not get out by the count of 10, it's basically a last man standing match with submissions. You know
what? I actually don't mind it here, and let me tell you why. Because it actually feels like a legitimate fucking sport like this. Fucking UFC. Sometimes, they'll count their opponent out. In a boxing match, they'll count their opponent out to see if they answer a 10 count, so it's not a technical knockout. UFC fights technically don't have, the 10 count. The referee will call it at his discretion. If they can't see that the dude is, if whoever DC is beating up on the floor, if the referee sees that DC's opponent can't continue, he's going to call it off. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess you kind of have to add that element into it, the 10 count.
The match starts off very physical. They got really innovative at the beginning. Riddle does some sort of a springboard enziguri off of the steel cage. Yeah. They start getting real physical with each other, and this is where DC gets involved. Matt Riddle is just pounding Rollins, and DC rips Riddle off and says, "Stop it, knock it off." And Riddle is kind of getting into DC's face, but he brushes it off. Rollins is able to reverse the offense, and when DC tries to rip Rollins off, Rollins shoves him off. So DC picks up Rollins, just slams him into the cage wall, and says, "That's your only warning. Do not touch me. That is the only warning I'm going to give you. Do not touch me." And DC, Rollins backed off real fast.
Yeah, both these wrestlers were great, but let's commend DC for a second because, first of all, it's great that he got to do this as a gigantic wrestling fan that he is. And Michael Cole even said it on commentary as he was coming out. There is perhaps no bigger wrestling fan on the planet than this man right here. He loves this stuff.
Yeah, it was super cool. He's been wanting to get involved with wrestling for the longest time. I did learn this on Denise Salcido's podcast. That apparently DC and Becky Lynch have the same booking agent. So it was really easy for Daniel Cormier to become a part of this match. And
Seth Rollins personally handpicked him to referee the match too.
So it was meant to be. Daniel Cormier did have to get permission from Dana White to do this. So I think he's still signed to some sort of UFC deal. I don't know. I'm not a UFC fan. So if anybody out there has any details, feel free to educate me in the comments below. But
he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he played his role perfectly in this match. He did not get involved with the finish. There was no other. I know there were some people saying that Cormier is going to knock out Rollins, and then Brock Lesnar is going to come out, and that's going to be no. This is not the time nor the place. Also, Daniel Cormier does not look like he's in any physical condition to be wrestling. Not right now.
Not right
No.
now. If he wants to wrestle, I'll respect his wishes. I think he'd be a great announcer down the line, like a great analyst as well, because he loves a bit of this.
There is a working relationship between DC and WWE, but this is about Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. Do
That's
not
what it
inject
is.
any sort of feuds here. And these guys got super physical with each other.
Good Lord, did they? Yeah.
Again, knee strikes and kicks and grapples, and they make their way up to the top of the platform. Riddle hits an RK Bro on the inside of the ring first. That gets a huge pop.
Seth
Rollins,
a 5-star frog splash off the side of the cage as well, just to rub it in. It's so awesome. And they go up to the top. Rollins is having the crowd serenade him as he's walking around. And Riddle decides he's had enough of these games. He climbs up there with him.
But the scariest spot, and I could tell on Rollins' face that he was scared too. Rollins does a running cage bomb from the platform into the cage wall.
God,
and that is,
dude.
It's not a super narrow path, but there's not a lot of room up there. And you could tell, like, Rollins is like, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be fucking scary. Mm-hmm. They pulled it off as best as they could. Rollins hits a pedigree on the platform, which is really cool.
He sure does.
Riddle is able to turn around, hit another RK Bro, and Rollins is able to roll off the side of the platform and land safely on the cage.
Somehow, some way, he does, but
safely on the mat, I should say.
Even worse is when Riddle is standing on that platform and he hits a freaking Broton. It is the sickest, stiffest landing I think I've ever seen of that move. And
a very, very, very scary spot, and props to Riddle being able to pull it off. Again, we talked about this back in the Hell in a Cell review. There is no other person that's going to make sure you are safe in there than Seth Rollins. I was expecting a floating bro, but even with this Broton, Riddle looked kind of scared. And I'm not saying that like, oh, Riddle, you little chicken shit, you're scared. That is a scary spot to do. So if Riddle was hesitating a little, I do not blame him.
No, not at all. There were a few points also earlier on in the match where Rollins hit a curb stomp and he's telling DC to count. There was a point where Rollins told DC to count faster. It was funny. DC looked right at Rollins after that and he was like, 7, 8. See, okay, that's why I didn't mind the counting as much as I usually mind it in a match like this, but
we praise him enough, but I'm going to praise him again. Daniel Cormier played his role perfectly in this match.
Didn't overstay his welcome either.
Nope.
He knew who the main players were.
He put his foot down very early in the match. And when he told Rollins, this is your only warning, Rollins respected that. Again, there was no physicality. There was physicality, but DC didn't lay a punch on anybody. Well, it wasn't like,
It's because he kind of knows that DC can beat his ass, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, Riddle locks on a triangle choke. Rollins is in the hold for a while, but he finally does the little tap out, like a UFC style tap out as well. DC is right there to see it and declares Matt Riddle the winner of the fight pit. Do you think this feud is over? It feels like this feud is over. You don't think so?
I think there's one match still left in these guys.
You think so?
And if Seth Rollins is able to win the title from Lashley tomorrow night, it could be for the United States title. These guys are at one match apiece now.
If only a certain someone wasn't holding both world titles hostage, it'd be very easy to put the WWE Championship on Seth freaking Rollins right now because he's been WWE's MVP this year.
But I do understand if this is the end, this is a perfect way to get Riddle over.
Yeah.
Rollins has been the king of putting people over. He put Riddle over. He took 3 straight losses to Cody Rhodes. How do you not give this man the world championship?
Because Roman Reigns is holding them hostage right now. That's why.
This guy has been holding the company on his fucking back for the past 10 years.
Seth Rollins, baby. Love it. This match, I really liked it. I'm going to give it 3 3/4 stars as a main event. It's solid. I didn't like this as much as their Clash at the Castle match. It felt like they were a little bit more restrained or constrained in the stipulation.
A lot of people didn't like the finish, but I was like, what were you expecting? It's a fight pit. It's a submission match.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
There are people saying, oh, take 5 minutes away from the I quit and give it to this. I don't agree with that. This was fine. This was
the perfect length. It got 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, main event Rollins, and this is Riddle's first main event of a pay-per-view.
This is fine.
I don't see any issue with it.
I have a couple of nitpicks. I have a no. Hold on a second before we get to that. I have a couple nitpicks real quick. So after watching 3 fight pit matches at this stage, here's the Lions Den match. I think is better for this style of stipulation because you have the cage slanted, and the spots that Riddle was wanting to pull off early on didn't look as clean as I would have liked. If the cage is on a slant, like I think those spots could be pulled off a little better. You know what I mean?
Well, also you got to take into account the Lions Den was very small.
That's true. But I mean, WWE like remodeled the Elimination Chamber a few years back. I think you can find a way to remodel the fight pit as well. But
fair point. Fair point.
Secondly, I think this match needed blood. I think it would have like I know it's kind of out of the question because WWE's PG, but it would have been great with blood. You know, it's a blood
especially
feud.
when before we sign off and nothing else ever that happens on this pay-per-view, there is one point I want to make. There's one point I want to make. I'm just gonna come out and say I would rather have 6 matches on a pay-per-view that are solid quality. I enjoy them from start to finish. They're not perfect. I would rather have a solid 6-match pay-per-view that goes over a little bit over 3 hours than have 18 matches on one card that goes for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't care about half of the matches on the card.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had the 6 matches on here, as well as Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory, the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus Braun Strowman in a 2-on-1 handicap match, Lashley versus The Miz and for the United States Championship. Imagine if we had the Usos versus Hit Row for the tag team titles. We had it'd
be a lot, man.
A women's tag team title match. We had
it'd be exhausting.
Exactly. Omos versus I don't fucking know. Montez Ford. Imagine if we just threw all those matches on that card.
Omos versus Braun Strowman.
Yeah, imagine if we had 5 matches. Imagine if we had 5 matches in between the Raw Women's Championship match and the I Quit match. You would have not been as excited as the I Quit match as you were for this match.
No.
So the point I'm trying to make is quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's nothing said better, my friend. And you said, that's the end of the pay-per-view. Nothing else exciting happens. Wait, hold on a second. The watermark.
If you turned the TV off when the watermark showed up, like I do every Raw and SmackDown.
Here's my thing. If you have never seen a Triple H NXT takeover, you know that the watermark means jack shit. So the watermark goes on and then
fakes you out.
Yeah, it fakes you out like nothing's going to happen.
I was convinced that nothing was going to happen because
I was convinced too.
Matt Riddle was up there. He was on the ramp, and I'm just like, well, damn, they
Let's
really
talk
are
about
going to
this.
do it tonight. And then the lights go off.
The lights go off, and the crowd.
Are we still on the air?
Yes. Yeah, that's a fucking great touch. So I've been wanting to talk about this for so long, dude. So the lights go down, and the crowd cheers because they know exactly what's happening. It's the reveal of the White Rabbit here. And Michael Cole, to your point, like takes it to the back. He's like, wait, are we still on the air? What's going on?
Here's the thing. Throughout all this White Rabbit nonsense, between the QR codes backstage, between the QR codes appearing on screen during matches, a QR code being on Corey Graves' clipboard during the contract signing, a QR code being on Triple H's microphone on SmackDown during the pre-show match, during the entrance of the Brawling Brutes, they have not acknowledged this at all. Like it's been invisible, out of sight, out of mind. They don't know anything about this. The lights went out, and Michael Cole said, "Are we still on the air?" That is the first time they have referenced it in this whole month. Remember, this started when we went to Raw in San Jose.
Yep, and we didn't even notice that the QR code was sitting behind Austin Theory on the wall until someone noted it on Twitter. And we had heard the White Rabbit song playing during the commercial break. People who go to house shows were hearing the White Rabbit song playing as well with the red light coming on. And they know what's coming, so they're popping huge. So all of a sudden, there's this really deep drawl. He's got the whole world in his hand. Goosebumps up and down my spine. And the crowd knows exactly what's going on here. And
then we
spotlight.
a doorway.
You see Huskus the pig boy in human form standing in the concourse section there.
And then you see
He's
Mercy
got the
the Buzzard.
whole world in his hand. Every single one
Mercy
has
the
a
Buzzard.
Mercy the Buzzard just chilling there, probably Joe Gacy. Then you pan over fucking Rambling Rabbit with the creepiest fucking mask I've ever seen in my life. What the hell?
Abby the Witch. And then this is where it gets really, really interesting. They flash to the announce table, and Michael Cole nearly shits himself. He says, I'm out of here. You see the Fiend mask burnt to a crisp.
Yes. The Fiend mask burnt to a crisp. This is also where it gets really interesting. So, by the way, I should note, Abby the Witch was wearing Harper's mask from when he was one half of the Bludgeon Brothers, which is a brilliant tribute. Rest in peace, Brody. But this is where it gets really, really enticing here. You say the Fiend mask burnt to a crisp on the announce table, but then you see the Fiend himself in the front row. And
when that happened, Brittany says, oh, the Fiend, he's back. But it hit me, it clicked in my mind. That's not the Fiend.
It's not the Fiend. It is the Fiend, as we know the Fiend, but it's not who we think is under the mask.
To the doorway. We go in the doorway and we see the tattered remains of the Firefly Funhouse.
Oh my
Rambling
God.
Rabbit, Mercy the Buzzard, Abby the Witch, all
and there's
dead.
Cobwebs everywhere.
Lifeless corpse.
It's like you're walking into, so anytime you're in a Halloween, anytime you're young and you're looking to walk through abandoned houses, this is sort of what one would look like, except you have a lot of creepy shit in there.
If you remember the Firefly Funhouse the night after WrestleMania when the Fiend lost to Randy Orton, the Bray Wyatt said something about, we're free, I'll see you all later. And that's the last we ever saw of the Funhouse. So the Funhouse for almost 2 years has been untouched.
Yep.
Everything's shattered.
Everywhere.
Everything. Again, he left it as it was. All the friends are there. The sign, abandon all hope, all ye enter, is still there.
Yep.
Everything is still there.
The television is still there. The television is still there. There's a little message with a raspy voice in there and a creepy looking mask that looks like it comes from this movie. Ethan Hawke starring in it. And apparently the same guy who did the mask for the Fiend did this mask right here. Shout out to that guy.
So who steps through the door? None other, holding a lantern at all. He takes the mask off. It's Bray Wyatt.
It sure is. And the crowd,
the Eater of Worlds,
the crowd fucking loses their shit. I lost my shit. I couldn't lose my shit too loud because it was pretty late in the evening, which is kind of a bad decision looking at all these creepy masks late in the evening. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that too much.
Bray, the Eater of Worlds, is back.
Yeah. With a brand new fucking gimmick, and it looks like the Wyatt 6.
What actually took me aback the most, everyone was saying the Fiend is coming back. This was not the Fiend. This was OG. This is like you put Bray Wyatt through a car wash. You got him all nice and squeaky clean.
No, you know what it is?
Out looking better than ever.
He looks better than ever, number one. And shame on you, Vince, for thinking he was never in good shape. But, you put Bray Wyatt through all that stuff, all the Fiend bullshit. And one of the things I heard the raspy voice say in that little video clip that we got, which looks even more terrifying if you look at some of the photos on WWE.com. But one of the things he said was, look at what you've done. And he has that mask on, and he walks out there. He blows the lantern out. He says, I'm back. You have that Wyatt 6 logo as your signature.
You know what else he said? Who killed the world? You did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, there's still so many questions that need to be asked and need to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
What does feed your head mean?
Who are the members of the
world?
Who are under the rest of those masks? We don't have no freaking clue.
Bray Wyatt has not been subtle at all with his Twitter. He said the Wyatt 6 for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He's not alone. But who are under those masks beats me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I have a few theories that, I don't want to run too long, but you remember how I said Liv Morgan was smiling earlier and all that stuff? She is currently in a relationship with Bo Dallas, to my knowledge. And Bo Dallas is Bray Wyatt's little brother. And I've heard from various sources that Bo Dallas is on his way back too. So, I think Liv Morgan might be under that Abby the Witch mask. I think
could be her. It could be Alexa Bliss.
I think that's too obvious. Rumors. I think that's too obvious. You know, I
get you. You
gotta address. Theories. Hold on a second though. You gotta address the fact that Alexa Bliss betrayed him at WrestleMania. You have to. Like, it wouldn't make any sense for Alexa Bliss to be under that mask if you take WrestleMania 37 under consideration.
Alexa Bliss is still involved because she has just been coincidentally. Maybe she was trying to throw people off from the Fiend because she's scared that Bray Wyatt's finally back to take his revenge.
Yeah. Maybe she was throwing people off the scent, but
I've heard rumors that Huskus is Curtis Axel. That would be cool, but I don't want to speculate too much because I want to, again, exactly.
I want to enjoy the ride.
I want to wonder. If
I want to enjoy the ride.
Any articles saying I know exactly who the Wyatt Six are, keep that shit away from me. I want it all to be a surprise. There have been so many like theories and rumors and like Dexter Lumis, Braun Strowman, Karrion Kross, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas. All these names being thrown around. Joe Gacy. Who knows? And I'm looking forward to seeing who exactly are under those masks.
It's going to be like a creepy version of like, I can't believe I'm using a TNA reference, but it's almost like revealing who the members of the Aces and Eights are. Periodically.
Except for it's not going to suck because it's not going to be Devon and Garrett Bischoff and
because
Mr.
Bray
Anderson.
Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt knows what the fuck he's doing with his lore and he understands his character.
One member I'd like to see, I would like to see Eric Rowan.
Oh, wouldn't that be
AEW
great?
ain't doing shit with him.
Wouldn't that be great?
Let him go back to WWE.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, I would love that for him. But again, I feel like, I mean, I would have loved to have seen Bray just under the Fiend mask like good old times. But if this is scarier than the Fiend, honestly.
Yeah, and we still have, again, we have someone in a Fiend mask.
We do.
I am looking forward. People are saying, oh, tune into Raw. So Bray Wyatt will have Bray Wyatt ain't gonna give anyone a fucking explanation for anything.
No,
he is gonna keep this as cryptic as possible, and you're just gonna have to enjoy the ride.
So
apparently, the people that are involved with all of the White Rabbit clues, the guy actually has written horror comics for Marvel, and he has a full-time position with WWE now, and that is so fucking cool.
And even more important to note, he is very good friends with one Bray Wyatt. So
yeah.
You know, I cannot freaking wait to see where this goes and let Bray's weird mind just go all over the place. Like, and this return, I don't want to think about this too. Over the past year, we have gotten returns of CM Punk to pro wrestling. We've gotten the return of Cody Rhodes to WWE. And now we get this. We're eating fantastically.
You know, people, when I saw Bray Wyatt kind of in just like a normal, as much as I love the Firefly Funhouse, as much as I like the Fiend, you know, I look at that version of Bray Wyatt and I just think of, you know, how crisp and clean he was in the ring, hitting those running sentons, how he could just pop up and then just whip someone into Sister Abigail. And just, people don't realize what damn good of a wrestler Bray Wyatt is. And I'm looking very forward to just seeing that version of Bray Wyatt back in the ring.
Oh, man, I'm so
he
happy.
Throws a Uranagi like no other.
I'm so happy he's back, dude. I can't believe it. I'm still sitting here in shock, dude. Like,
shit, I need to hop on WWE Shop and get myself a White Rabbit shirt like right now because I am so happy. I am so happy. Like I remember we talked about when Bray Wyatt got released. I got legit depressed from that because there was no reason to.
No reason to. Vince said he had an attitude problem. Well, someone was in the fucking wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Bray Wyatt.
You know what? Maybe Bray Wyatt did have an attitude problem, but he had every right to because he was working with a crazy old fuck.
Yeah, who didn't freaking understand his character. You know, but now I don't want to dwell on it too much, but he's in good hands. You don't screw this up this time. I swear. Nobody screw this up because this is just, oh, God, I love it, dude.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for this faction, and I'm looking very forward to seeing what happens on Raw. Whatever brand he may show up on, whether he's face or a heel, I do not care. Let's just see where this goes, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Me too. Thank you, Bray. Man, missed you so much.
Yeah, and just one last piece on that, like, I don't think Vince realizes how much these wrestlers mean to us because I saw a clip today of someone tweeted Bray Wyatt and it was a video of their son in a Fiend mask with Fiend dolls, literally bouncing up and down with excitement, watching Bray Wyatt come back. And the mother tweeted, I think, no, the father tweeted at Bray Wyatt. Yeah, he said, he was so excited to see you. We've missed you so much. Thank you. And Bray Wyatt tweeted back and said, I missed you guys too.
Yeah, so, he said, this is why I'm back for moments like this.
Yeah.
What a man. The world does not deserve Wyndham Rotunda at all. But
no.
This Extreme Rules 2022 was a emotional roller coaster, man. I was going to give it a 7, mainly because the Clash of the Castle matches were way superior to these ones overall. I think match quality-wise, I would recommend seeking out the I Quit match and the Donnybrook match, but the Wyatt return bumped this up to an 8, dude. Bumped it up a whole point. Loved it.
I'm going to meet you in the middle and do a 7.5 because this was a very solid show. A very fun night of wrestling. Again, quality over quantity. I would rather have really 6 solid matches with some flaws here and there because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and blindly like everything WWE likes. What kind of fan would I be if I did that?
Right.
That's a really off-topic thing. But if you are a fan of something, you need to criticize the thing that you love. You can't just sit there and blindly love everything that you watch. It's like you even say in your movie reviews, you can't just watch stuff and you can't just own stuff that you love. You gotta watch some stuff you don't like, or it's not gonna broaden your horizons.
You can't look at stuff with rose-tinted glasses all the time, you know?
Absolutely not. WWE has a shitty pay-per-view. I'm gonna say WWE has a shitty pay-per-view, but I'm not gonna sit there and if AEW has a shitty pay-per-view, I'm not gonna say, well, that was amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. So this was a fun night of wrestling. I like these formatted pay-per-views more. And, you know, this was a very fun night of wrestling. Way better than last year. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Thank you for making it actually Extreme Rules again this time, Hunter. But, yeah.
If you guys matches would have ended in DQ if Vince was still here.
No, he would just, I don't want to dwell on that. But guys, smash that subscribe button if you're a new viewer. Hit that notification bell for all new content with us, and smash that like button. That would be a huge favor. Next up, we do have a show that was voted in favor of the Blood Money show, which WWE is putting on November 5th. You guys voted in No Mercy 2000, which is a very entertaining show, and we're both very excited to look at it. And then other than that, we also have a very fun Survivor Series month ahead of us. We have War Games coming back.
Don't forget about AEW Full Gear. That's going to be happening on November 19th,
Full Gear. Yep. And our next 2004 retrospective is freaking Judgment Day. Speaking of shitty pay-per-views from 2004. You know?
Yeah. One that unfortunately was one of the very few WWE DVDs I owned. So I had nothing else to watch when I was a kid. So I've watched that pay-per-view more times than I care to admit.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. I own that show on DVD too. I'm not looking forward to revisiting it. But guys, thank you all so much. Feed your head along the way, and see you guys next time.